What's good, Shellitronnn here, and I'm back out again with a brand new video. And today, I need to talk about some news that just hit the airwaves, that just crossed my timeline. Some very, very huge news about a team that before, maybe a month ago, didn't have any sort of ties to us really, but now they have some very significant ties. You can see on your screen right now from a tweet from Mike Garofalo saying Redskins are releasing cornerback Josh Norman. Source says, intriguing situation to watch as he now has time to find his new team ahead of free agency. Now, there is a lot to unpack here, a ton to unpack here, honestly, because first off, on one hand, we used to have Josh Norman, and obviously, easily, we had the best year of our whole history of a team in Josh Norman's last year with the team. And we know the situation with Josh Norman. We can just look at it right here in an article from around April 25th of 2016. The title is Josh Norman Tried to Sign Franchise Tag and Stay with Panthers at the Last Minute. We all know what the story was. There was a whole big thing about Josh Norman's agent maybe trying to get too much money, maybe asking for what Josh Norman was probably deserving of at that point in time. But there was still a franchise tag deal on the table where Josh Norman could have signed for the average of the top 5 cornerbacks in the league at that time. And it was reported that Josh Norman would have accepted that deal. But then David Gettleman, that guy who got us out of cap hell but did not do very much else, took that deal off the table as an ego move because he thought that Josh Norman's agent had too much power. And we all know what our cornerback situation's been since then. I like James Bradberry 100%. I believe in James Bradberry. But it would have been nice to just see how that 2016 team would have done with Josh Norman still on the team. Because we can look at Josh Norman's stats right here, man. Josh Norman's had a pretty confusing career, honestly. First few years in the league, he wasn't really all that great. We understand he was a guy who had to work his way up from the practice squad, made the most of his opportunities. You can see in 2015, 110 yards in interception yards, 4 interceptions, 2 returned for touchdowns, 3 fumbles forced, 18 passes defended, and, not the best numbers in terms of tackles for a cornerback, but 56 tackles and 3 tackles for loss. You really can't beat that. Obviously, he went to the Pro Bowl. Obviously, first team All-Pro. Josh Norman had a great year. But then the year after, when he left and he signed a huge deal. And when I say huge deal, I mean a huge deal with the Redskins. You can see right here, $75 million total. I believe it was a 5-year deal. Look, the man was getting paid a bunch of money. In 2016, he had an $8 million cap hit. 2017, he had a $20 million. Then it was 17, 14, and 15 for this year right here. But he got cut so the Redskins can save $12 million on their cap for this season. The man was getting paid, like I mentioned, it was the second richest cornerback contract in the entire league. And this was right before Xavier Howard got paid. I think Xavier Howard got paid at the beginning of this season. So for about, 3 years, Josh Norman was the highest paid cornerback in the NFL, and he played like it in 2015. He also played like it in 2016 when he had what you might call, maybe not better numbers, but damn close numbers. 3 picks, 19 passes defended, 2 forced fumbles, and he had more tackles, 67 tackles that season. Josh Norman looked like an investment that the Panthers really just... we just slept on and allowed to get away from us in what we thought at the time was our championship window, and what we now understand to be really, actually, we can confirm that was our championship window, because it damn sure ain't right now. But then we started to see a few other things. Josh Norman hit 30. He had a decent year in 2017. 9 passes defended, no picks, good tackling numbers, but it wasn't really all that impressive. And then you started to see 2018. He had 3 picks, 9 passes defended, but it wasn't really that impressive of a year. And then this season, he was a healthy scratch. You saw a lot this year if you watch Redskins games, and I can't imagine why you would even think about why would you watch a Redskins game. This isn't even about being a Panthers fan. You have no reason to watch Redskins games. I promise you that. Even the game we played against them, we was ass too. But Josh Norman was horrible this year. It was almost like he forgot how to play football. Now, when you think about it, you can say maybe he was a system guy. He was a system cornerback who worked well in zone. And when you go to a team like the Redskins, you go to the Redskins, there ain't too much expectation for winning. And you instantly become their best player, at least the best player on the defensive side of the ball. And a lot of pressure's on you. And he lived up to it his first year. But I can imagine, you were playing for the Redskins for 3 years, 4 years. After a while, it's really hard to get up and motivate yourself to play hard for a team like that when you know there's no expectation for winning, no real possibility for winning, and if you thought you were going to win, you was the only one. So in some ways, destination and performance do have some sort of, they go hand in hand in some ways, but the big question here for a lot of Panthers fans, seeing this news that he's released now, I already know. The big question is going to be, should the Panthers go after Josh Norman in free agency? The answer is no. It's a clear no for me. I don't think the Panthers should go after Josh Norman in free agency, and it's a very, very simple reason why. Bro, we ain't got no money. It does not matter. First of all, we have about, I think it's 30 to 35 million in cap space. We can cut a few players, maybe Dontari Poe, maybe a few players in the receiving core, and we can come up on maybe 10 to 12, maybe $15 million in some places. If you cut some very big spots, you can actually come up on $30 million. But the thing to remember about that is every time you cut a player, a starter level player, by the way, you have to replace them as well. So it's not like you're getting a bunch of money and those positions are still filled. We have a lot of positions that need to be filled, both starter and backup wise. And if we're going to cut more players to get more money, are we going to only get very, very inexpensive players who are kind of cheap and middle of the road kind of players? We have to replace actual starters. And looking at what Josh Norman's numbers are, you have to also acknowledge maybe he just fell off. And it's a pretty big thing that Ron Rivera, the coach he had for a long time, a defensive-minded coach who's seen him grow, who watched him develop into being the best corner or one of the best corners in the league in 2015, and that carried on in 2016. If Ron Rivera's cutting him, then there's something, they have to have some kind of conversation, right? And if you just see what this man, Josh Norman, this man was toast. Josh Norman could not cover you. You could run any route, slant, drag, run a quick little fly pattern real quick. You want to run a fade instead? Cool. Do what you want to do, post, corner, it don't really matter. Josh Norman ain't going to cover you. So maybe he would have a revitalization year in Carolina, but, we still have to worry about a lot of positions. The O-line. Receivers, we need maybe one more receiver, I think. Maybe one more tight end. The interior of the D-line needs help. The defensive ends need help. Just about every position except for Shaq Thompson. The linebackers need help. Are we going to sign James Bradbury back? And he's going to be looking for big money. He will probably be getting offers all around the league. So maybe if we don't sign him, we can try to sign Josh Norman to a smaller deal. But I don't think Josh Norman's going to be signing for any sort of team-friendly, extremely low-ball offer anytime soon. I think part of the reason why I wanted to take really low money, or not low money, but franchise tag money, or even a 1-year deal in 2016 is because he saw what the team was in 2015, and he knew staying on the Panthers could lead to a ring. If you have the pieces in place, you can make a push for the Super Bowl one more year. After that, we're not exactly a free agent's destination right now. We're not the best place for a guy to look to come like, I'll take a team-friendly deal to play for the Panthers right now. Given the situation, given what their money looks like, given what the roster looks like right now, it's going to be really hard to get anyone, even people who've played for Panthers previously, to come in on a friendly deal without any sort of stipulations, without there being some kind of injury-related news or maybe even an attitude kind of news. A guy who's going to be getting offers from other teams probably won't take less money to play for the Panthers. First of all the guys that Josh Norman knew when he was on the squad, they all gone. He don't know nobody on the squad right now. He does not know a single soul inside the facilities of the Carolina Panthers that are housed in Charlotte, North Carolina. I promise you that. There's not a ton for Josh Norman to say, yeah, I'll take less money to go back to Carolina to be on a team that needs help, that might not have its starting quarterback, and don't look like it's really in the best shape to win right now, especially considering that Josh Norman is, at last check, 32 years old, coming off of a terrible season and off the back of another just not so great season for him. Josh Norman, for me, would be an instant no. I like him as a person. I like him for what he did for the Panthers and his personality. I like that kind of dog in him. That kind of dog mentality that he has, I like that. I wish that Dante Jackson, who does have that dog mentality, although he's kind of more of an excuse maker and a liar, honestly. It is what it is. Dante Jackson is an excuse maker and a liar. But even more importantly than those things, he is also a liability, and that is not what Josh Norman was when he was with the Panthers in 2015 and 2014, honestly. But at this point, you have to acknowledge that Josh Norman might just be, he could be a liability at this point in his career. The numbers speak for himself. Maybe it's the Redskins, but we're also not all that sure. I believe in Phil Snow. I believe in Rev Rule. But I cannot say that I can guarantee this is a system that's going to work right away. But I think his window's kind of passed skill-wise, and our window for being one expensive position away from winning just ain't it. At least try to reward the guys who are on the team, who's been here for the longest time. James Bradberry, I think that's the move to make. And if we don't make that move, I don't see where saving the money from James Bradberry being gone just to spend it on Josh Norman makes sense. I don't see it happening. That's my thoughts on it, though. I respect Josh Norman, and I think he might have some more good years in him for the NFL, but I think that the years of him being one of the best corners in the league probably passed him. The guy's 32. I think he still has some skill, but he was getting burnt, bro. You can just, if there's lowlights on YouTube, look at those, because Josh Norman was getting burnt. He was a healthy scratch. Do you know how bad you have to be a healthy scratch on the Redskins? On the Redskins. Yes, we got beat by them, but we weren't very good either this year. I'm off this, though. Josh Norman, respect him. Don't want him. Don't need him. That's how I feel about it. What are your thoughts? Do you think Josh Norman is still good? Do you think his bad stats the past couple years, past really 3 years, honestly, are because of the Redskins only? Or do you think there's something wrong with him as well, skill set wise? Will he be better on a different team? Is he washed up? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. And you already know to do with that like button.
Cheers to you, appreciate the chance. Been told y'all I been the man. Been told y'all I had the gift. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Real ones gonna recommend. Count this as another win.